Well, folks, it's great to be here with Dr. Starling. I'm interviewing her today about a couple of books that she's written and maybe a TED Talk as well, if we can work that in that she's presented. Dr. Starling is a PhD, PCC, BCC. The business psychologist is the international best-selling author of How to Hire the Best, as well as The 4-Week Vacation, the two books that we'll be talking about today. Her work has been featured in Forbes, Entrepreneur.com, and Thrive Global. She's the founder of Tap the Potential and the co-host of the Profit by Design podcast. Dr. Starling, welcome.
Thank you, Joe. And by the way, just call me Dr. Sabrina. That's much easier.
Full respect, though, to your credentials. I would have called you Dr. Starling the rest of your life.
Oh. I'm delighted to be here. It is an honor to come and talk to your advisors to support you all in developing a business that supports your life. But the reason it's such a big honor is because I know the impact that you have on the small business community overall. So I hope that what I share today is impactful for you and also for the clients that you're serving.
Well, I absolutely will be. And the topic that you cover in your book the goal or the outcome that you drive from these two books is about getting capacity back. And this isn't theoretical. People that read your books, gone through your process, they actually got 10, 15 hours of capacity back. Tell us about it.
So, Joe, it's incredible. So I've been coaching small business owners for over 20 years, and we have a lot of clients who are accountants and bookkeepers. And what we are doing is we really believe work supports life, not the other way around. I have developed the Tap the Potential solution as a model of efficiency in growing small businesses. So businesses that are past the startup phase, that are established businesses. And it's in a model of efficiency because it creates more time capacity for you, the owner, and for your team, while the revenue grows and your profit grows. So we're working on time and money efficiency throughout the business. And 91% of our clients in our Better Business, Better Life program at Tap the Potential are achieving this promised result of more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. And because I know you all are numbers people and you want the hard numbers, I'm going to give you the hard numbers. So 716% increase in time off in the first year of working with us. That's 7 times more time off. Wow. A 215% increase in profit. So profit is doubling while the time off is multiplying by 7 times. And a 55% increase in owner's pay. Over the course of the year with us, you're working towards being able to take a fully unplugged 4-week vacation. So within a 12-month period of time, you're able to leave your business for 4 weeks. Your team is running it. And it's not just that the business continues to run in your absence, it needs to grow in your absence. And that's what our clients are experiencing. So that's what's possible. And I really want your listeners to hear this is real. This is happening in businesses, and it's not as hard as you think it is. It's very
all right.
simple.
So yes, definitely. I think you have listeners' attention, mine as well. And there are tens of thousands of businesses out there that would be in the category of what you described, yet very few are able to accomplish it. So what mistakes are they making? Where are the missteps?
So the missteps really start with our mindset, because if we don't believe something is possible, we don't ever strive for it. So the first thing that I'm trying to get you to just accept is this is entirely possible. Business owners are doing it. Accountants and bookkeepers, some of them that you know are doing it. And so we've got misstep number 1 is not believing it's possible. It is possible. Misstep number 2 is we continually tell ourselves that it's easier for me to do it than to train someone else to do it. Nobody can do it as good as I can. And what we're doing is we are creating these glass ceilings in our businesses all over the place, meaning that our team members never have the opportunity to rise and to elevate because we continue to hold on to things. But even if we pass that first level of starting to delegate and we build leaders in our company, if we're not paying attention to their mindset, they are creating glass ceilings below them that their team members, that their direct reports can't surpass either. And so what I really teach is that everyone in the business is capable of making their time worth $10,000 an hour. Every single team member, including the business owner. So I know we don't do dollars for hours, and I'm not in any way talking about dollars for hours here.
What you're using kind of metaphorically is, hey, drive up the value of every single hour you invest in your company.
Every hour needs to be spent on your highest value contribution to the business. So the definition of a $10,000 an hour activity is when you are working from your strengths and you are making everything else easier for yourself or others. So that means my executive assistant who does my calendaring and filters my email is doing $10,000 an hour work because she's making things easier for myself and for our clients. And she is freeing up my time so that I can focus on my higher value contributions, which is like coming here and sharing this information with you all. That's a high value contribution. So we want every single team member to understand two things about their role. They need to understand the sweet spot of the business. And that's number one. The sweet spot is the intersection of our top clients and what they value most about what we're doing for them and our systems that we put in place to serve them. So every single team member needs to know the sweet spot of the business. Every single team member also needs to understand how from their role they drive profit in the business. And we know there's two ways to be profitable: make money, save money. And the gap between what you make and what you save is your profit. When team members know that, and they know what their strengths are, and we are giving them the structure, the communication structure to say, I have ideas. I can see how to do this better for our clients, how we can serve the sweet spot better. That is where we start seeing team members making their time worth $10,000 an hour. When my executive
so what I'm hearing
assistant,
you say, Dr. Sabrina, is that it metaphorically, right? It's not about a bill rate, what a customer would pay. It's about scaled benefit,
yes,
and effectiveness that you're driving. So just kind of echoing back and making sure I've got what you're saying. I can be greater than what one person might pay me for an hour if the benefits, the outcomes, indirect or direct, of what I do in that hour impact more and more people. 100 customers, 200 customers, 10 team members. Scaled impacts are what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yes. And so when we have a team member who says, I have an idea, I see a way that we could serve these clients better, that is scaled impact. That's micro level innovation. And it's the accumulation of those micro innovations that drive the value that we're delivering. And so we always want to be delivering exponential value to our clients. And we overcomplicate. So this is the misstep number 3. We overcomplicate what we're delivering to our clients.
Is that are you saying that we overcomplicate the delivery or the delivery system or both?
All of the above.
Okay.
So
break that down for us.
I absolutely want to break this down. We entrepreneurs decide what we think our clients need, and then we try to sell it to them. And it goes nowhere. And we're like, but they need this, right? As soon as we hear ourselves say, I think my clients need this, the I think phrase that's when we know we're wrong. We need our clients to tell us. We need to listen and we need to pay attention to the subtext of what's going on. What are the challenges? What are the things that keep them awake at night? And you may be thinking, well, the things that keep them awake at night have nothing to do with accounting.
Hmm.
And that's okay. Because if you and your team can find a way to make life easier for your best clients, that's where the value is.
You're going to depressurize their whole of life, and then they
Yes,
can use that depressurization to go solve whatever's keeping them up at 2 o'clock in the morning. It's
absolutely.
cascading benefit. I see it.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
And in this day and age of AI, we are bombarded with information. We all have information overload. Our clients do not need more information. They need us to make things easier for them. They need us to simplify.
Well, and AI promises to do that too, and it achieves it, but it does it in a way that is not holistic. And I think that
Yeah.
what you're driving to here is, AI might be able to provide information to that business owner, or they might be able to perform a task or solve a problem for the business owner client, who's a client of ours. But can AI really make the connection between the task it's performing and they're up at 2 o'clock in the morning, or their marriage is strained, or their relationship with their business partner is strained, or their dream is being hindered because it's getting a lack of intention and attention and energy? I don't know that AI can make that leap.
You
That's
are
for a human to do.
you're so spot on. And this is what I really want our listeners to grasp is AI will never replace the relationships and the connections that we make. And when we involve our team in trying to serve our top clients better and better and understanding their needs. So it's not just on us to do it, but our entire team is paying attention to this. Now we have multiple people paying attention to what are the challenges that our top clients are experiencing and how can we make their lives better? How can we make things easier for them? So those are multiple conversations happening. There are multiple dots being connected, and the idea generation, the micro innovations that come from that, AI will never touch that.
Yes.
And the
And that's where you
accounting
start getting into that
industry,
scaled impact. The impact has a value on it that
yes,
is not just 10,000 an hour, which I get why you have to say that because you have to turn heads. It's priceless.
it is
It's
priceless. And
invaluable.
the accounting industry is you're under attack from AI, right? Like there's concern you're going to be replaced. When you start thinking in these ways and you tap into the potential of your team to support your clients in these ways, you are irreplaceable.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that the key word here is back to the whole human, with the whole human. There's a show that I'm watching called The Pit, and they actually the Pit being for an ER in Pittsburgh, and they're tackling this from the medical side, and they're actually even bringing in the direct collision between artificial intelligence and what they're doing in the ER in season 2. So I'm thoroughly enjoying that collision. And there's a juxtaposition throughout the entire of the show, seasons 1 and 2, between the science of medicine and I want to say the art of being human, but it's even bigger than that.
Mm-hmm.
The impacts of being the human doctor, dealing with somebody that's just lost their loved one, or dealing with somebody that may never walk again, or dealing with a child who's scared in the ER. It's a beautiful watch for any professional who's concerned about AI taking their job, because it'll both encourage you, but it'll also guide you to exactly what Dr. Sabrina is talking about, where the biggest impacts happen, where you can make the actual real difference. And,
Yes.
in a lot of ways, Dr. Sabrina, I think AI may just be corralling us where we should have always been going anyway. It's going to make that intensely human, high impact part of our role a survival instead of a nice to have.
So much so, AI offers us the opportunity to delegate our $10 an hour tasks, our $50 an hour tasks, so that we can free up our mental space to do the $10,000 an hour work, which is our humanness and our connection and our relationships. And so that you asked me about missteps. What are the missteps that we're making? We're constantly doing $10, $50 an hour work. And we were doing that before AI. And now that AI is here, like we just need to stop it. It's stupid. Cut it out.
What's interesting is I'm not seeing us stop it. I'm seeing some people stop it. I'm seeing a lot of people digging in and going, but I'm clinging on to my little $50 an hour work.
Of course.
Don't take it from me, AI.
And
Holding on to for dear life, like that's the lifeline instead of it being the liberator. And
yes.
what I'm finding with accounting professionals, because that's the group that I look at the most, it's because they're scared, for lack of a better word. I was going to say intimidated, but I don't even know it's that. I think it's just trepidation.
Yes.
They're really scared to basically change jobs here, from being a number cruncher to being an agent of human transformation and betterment and enrichment. But
and I'm going to tell you, nobody understands that better than I do. I am a very task-oriented person. I'm also a psychologist. Okay. And so I love the safety of numbers and not having to deal with people. And I'm a psychologist, so I love the interaction and the relationship. The richness comes from the relationships. And when we're making decisions, there's two ways to make decisions: from love or fear. Fear is constrictive. It's all about grabbing on and being safe. And constrictive means we don't see the opportunities around us. When we make decisions out of love, love is expansive, it's open, it allows us to see opportunities. When we let AI do the rote tasks in our businesses so that we have more time to expand and to connect and to relate and to engage out of love versus fear, we will see opportunities. And our team members are dealing with the same fear that we have. So they're clinging on to the $10 and $50 an hour tasks too. They don't want to lose their jobs. They're afraid of being replaced. When we teach them about $10,000 an hour time, and by the way, I have a chart of $10,000 an hour activities. You can download it at tapthepotential.com/10K. I recommend you download it, look at it yourself, and share it with your team members and start the conversations with them now about, I want to understand your strengths. I want to teach you about our sweet spot. We're going to talk about your role in contributing to our profitability. And we're going to make sure if you're an A player, you always have a job here. And that you will settle the fear immediately on your team. When you create a safe, supportive
because they'll see their value,
then people are freed up to think creatively and offer ideas.
They'll see their value. And then they'll have confidence in their value and they'll lean into that. All right. So talking about people, we've got about 10 minutes left, and I wanted to focus on your book. That was kind of, I guess, the 4-week vacation kind of gets us to that point, but how to hire the best, because you've been talking a lot about team members, motivating them to find their high value capacity and application of that in their business. But, finding those people and then making sure that they're empowered when you get them. And I guess the most painful piece is when you hire the wrong person. Kind of talk to us a little bit about all of that.
Okay.
How do you find the best? How do you hire the best?
How to hire the best. This is an entire series, but the book that you should read is The Entrepreneur's Ultimate Guide to Attracting Top Performing Team Members. That's the latest in the series. I developed this out of working with rural business owners who had this belief that because we're in a small town in a rural area, we can't hire A players. And I heard that over and over, and I started to believe it too, until one morning I woke up, and in that transition from sleep to wakefulness, I had this epiphany, and it wasn't an aha moment. It was more of a powerful question. And it was, what if that's not true? what if I can find small business owners who are successfully hiring A players and using A players to grow their business? And what can I learn from them? And that put me on a quest all these years ago to go find them. And I have developed the How to Hire the Best series by talking with thousands of entrepreneurs and looking at what they are doing to attract A players in the business and what works. So that is what is in this book. So it absolutely works. An A player is someone who is intrinsically motivated. It comes from within. Like they're not looking to do a good job so they get a bonus or a higher rate, a higher salary. They want to do a good job for the sake of doing a good job. You're an A player, Joe. I'm an A player. Your listeners, A players. And you want team members like that. A players will solve problems. They don't stop and throw up their hands and say, I'm going to wait for the boss to get here. They're going to go try to figure it out. Those are A players. They exist for every level in your business. And when you are hiring them, you need to speak their language. And so much of what we do when we follow traditional hiring practices is noxious to A players.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about marketing in your business and you want to attract your top clients, you know that you need to speak their language and speak to them. We need to apply that same mentality to how we hire and how we attract the right members of our team.
And
So
what
I want to
language do these A players speak? I mean, how do we know how to talk to them?
growth and opportunity. They love growth and opportunity. So we have to remove all those glass ceilings in our businesses. When we have people that we have brought in at entry level and raised them up into leaders in our businesses, we need to put that front and center in our social media. We need to be talking about that. But the number one distinguisher that we need to use is to know our immutable laws. So our immutable laws are our core values that we carry around. And there's two ways to identify your immutable laws: what's made you proud lately and what's ticked you off. Because what's made you proud points to a core value. What's ticked you off points to a core value that's been violated. And so we want to identify what are our top 3 to 5 immutable laws. And when we write job ads, we want to speak to that. Are you the kind of person who wants to take absolute care of clients and make sure that their needs are met? Are you someone who enjoys solving problems? Are you someone who is reliable? So as they're reading that, they're thinking, yes, yes, yes. Oh my gosh, they're talking to me. It's like they're reading my mail. That same mentality that when we market to our top clients to attract them, we're doing the same thing in how we speak to our A players.
So
So
it's more recruitment than hiring, which is nuanced but very
well,
different.
it's very subtle because the hiring starts with the recruitment.
Yes.
So if you are recruiting out of a bad pool, like if you're just doing typical ads on
Same
Indeed,
with bringing on clients. You got to create the right pool
you got to get the right
and then
pool.
filter from there.
Right.
Yes.
So filter at the beginning with your recruiting. Your immutable laws are your filter throughout the process. If someone does not hold your immutable laws, and I don't care how good their resume looks and what their previous experience was, you don't hire them because they're going to drive you crazy once they're in your business.
Right. And also I found vision, mission, purpose, which is a Disney formula to break down what some people just say is a mission statement or vision statement.
Yes.
They divide it into 3.
Yes.
Same kind of concept. They just trifurcate it.
Yes.
But we cast our vision, mission, and purpose as well, and then I measure how that resonates.
Yeah.
Which I think would also be part of this, drawing people who have this, aptitude to lean in and to create that. And it really only has to resonate with 1 or 2 of the missions, because you're typically only hiring them to do one part of the work at the company. But the purpose and the vision, that the light needs to come on in their eyes. So
Yes.
I know you talked about values, and we do have we follow the Lencioni model. So we have
Mhm.
core values, we have operational values, we have accidental values, which are those behaviors in your company that formed, but you didn't mean for them to, right?
Yeah.
And so we have aspirational values, those things we're trying to better ourselves around. But so I get what you're saying with values. Do you also talk about mission in your book?
Yes, the mission and the vision comes later in the hiring process. That's during the interview.
That's
Okay,
during the
so
interview.
you're
Yeah, usually
screening with
it's
immutable
about the
laws.
second or third interview.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the reason the vision is so important is because A players value growth and opportunity. If you have no vision, they have no growth. There's no opportunity there. Okay. So you talk about the vision and then you talk about the mission that's being accomplished right now that serves the vision, that moves everyone closer to it, and what their role is going to be so that they really understand from the get go why they're important coming in. And a lot of business owners and hiring, anybody who's doing hiring, you spend a lot of time talking about yourself. And that's just when we think about if we're going to go on a date, and it's a first date, and we just talk about ourselves the whole night, we're not going to have a second date. Nobody
I
can.
actually made that mistake on the first date with my wife and somehow got a second date.
You lucked
I
out.
don't know how but it really wasn't my fault. I got to tell you this story really fast because you mentioned it. We went to a movie, then we went out to Starbucks. Well, I didn't know Starbucks closed at 10 o'clock. So we sat down and I just told her a little bit about who I was. And then they closed Starbucks. So we didn't get to her turn.
Oh no.
And so,
Oh, no.
so she did. She had just written it off as this guy didn't care about me. He only cares about himself. And I had to like call her and explain. No, I was all ready to go in to tell me about yourself when they shut down that Starbucks, and she gave me a second chance.
That's a great metaphor. So when we're interviewing, just imagine you're at Starbucks and they're closing at 10. You cannot talk about yourself. You need to find out about the other person first.
That's what I should have done, is started out with her. So if we ran out of time, it was the other way around. Yes. Take that. That's good. You can actually use that story if you want to. It's yours. Take it and use it.
It's a great story.
But yeah, we do tend to talk too much. And when I'm analyzing the calls that the people that are interviewing the team members make, I actually look at that because we have all those analytics on our recorded calls. And I make sure that they didn't talk more than 40% of the time. And if that's a coachable moment, if they do. So I'm right there with you. Yeah. And then when I get there, I'm casting vision and I'm reinforcing values. And there are ways to do that in an interview. So we won't kind of unpack all that. I'm sure if they read your book, you break all this down. But just to kind of share from what's worked well for us is, one of our values, for example, is transparency. So my goal is not to go, now be transparent, right? Nobody's going to, I just ask questions and I gauge. I don't need to pry into their personal lives. They don't need to overshare, but just kind of how open are they as people, and how real are they being with me? And, and I account for the fact that nobody's quite real in an interview. They're nervous. They're finally getting to Joe Woodard and all. So I can put all that to the side and compartmentalize that away and look at what's really happening in the core behavior. It's really hard, but you can cut through that noise. And then I go, okay, are they real here? Because, authenticity is actually the core value. Transparency is how we operate. And I need to make sure that's the kind of person they are.
Yes. Yes. And coachability comes under that blanket because we want to hire people who are coachable. A players are coachable. And so someone who's coachable wants to know how they can do better. They appreciate the feedback of, hey, you did this great, and here's the next step for you just to take this to the next level. They're also willing to reflect on themselves and what they've learned. So when you're interviewing and you ask people to tell me about a time when you messed up, you're listening for not just the mess up, but what did they do with that information afterwards? Did they incorporate that in their own professional development and grow and change as a human being out of that experience where they messed up? We want on our teams, we want people who are honest and open, who aren't covering up mistakes. One of our immutable laws at Tap the Potential is mistakes are learning opportunities. So we vent, learn, and keep moving forward. You want that to show up in the interview process. You can't make somebody coachable if they're not coming in coachable.
Yes. And a lot of that is kind of getting a read on arrogance levels and humility. And there's so much there, but that's why I'm glad you wrote the book, or it sounds like a series of books. So, Dr. Sabrina, I'm going to kind of echo back some of the things we've talked about here. You're talking about the 4-week vacation, which is that book is going to focus on how to get the kind of capacity back, but also it sounds like a lot of team empowerment so
Yes.
that you can go take those mental breaks, but also make sure that every hour that you are working counts. Put that $10,000, was it a $10,000 hour spent? So I'm focused on the things that matter. Yep. Thanks for holding up that book. You can find both these books on Amazon. So if you hire the best, you empower them, and everybody focuses on maximizing effectiveness, which means also finding those places where the client really needs your help, not where you think they need your help. Then you're going to end up working less and making a lot more. Now, before we leave, Dr. Sabrina, first, did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Second, you have a TEDx talk. Tell us
Yes.
about it, because everybody knows where to go find it. Go to, TED.com, but tell us about the talk.
So this talk is from burnout to balance, and I actually share my journey learning in my business about the importance of work supports life, and it came full circle for me. I started my business over 20 years ago because I wanted to be able to be there for my daughters as they were growing up, and I wanted to be able to work 25 hours a week and be fully present with them and our clients. My husband, Ned, passed away suddenly and unexpectedly 2 years ago. It was right before I delivered this TEDx talk. And it taught me the importance of being emotionally present. And that was one of the greatest gifts that came out of me building a business that supports my life. I was able to be fully emotionally present with Ned throughout our marriage. And when he died, it was terrible. And I was able to say, I have no regrets. So, this TEDx talk is about building a regret proof life.
Wow. That is powerful. And I've been married 25 years. First, so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
And I couldn't imagine life without my spouse. But I will tell you, I can't say that it was regret free. There were some times where I didn't prioritize work correctly. And I don't live in guilt, but I do let that past experience remind me how I should behave today. I like to say that your past does not define you; it reminds you. Actually, that's a quote from Andy Stanley. And so I let those things remind me, and then I go on and try to be the best husband I can be. So now we've have a TEDx talk to listen
Yes.
to, and a couple of books here to read: How to Hire the Best and the 4-Week Vacation. You can find links to all of these in the listening guide from today's episode. Dr. Sabrina, thank you so much for being with us. That was amazing.
Thank you, Joe. And I want to encourage your listeners, please subscribe to the Woodard Report. I will be contributing articles from the 4-week vacation and how to hire the best, and from my TEDx talk. And I think the first article that I'm going to contribute is the powerful question that I asked Ned on our last anniversary. That was a game changer in our relationship. So a little relationship advice from Dr.
And a little teaser with a cliffhanger there. We won't tell them what the question is. You've got to go to the Woodard Report to check that out at woodard.com. Dr. Sabrina, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.